I'm Dawn Murray, 34, from Madison, Wisconsin, a digital content creator. My wedding should have been perfect, a white wedding dress, a vow to my husband, all the good things that should have been realized. I spent months planning and dreaming, hoping that my family would be there and celebrate for me with a smile. But they didn't. Not a phone call, not a text, not even an apology. My parents and brother were completely absent from my wedding, as if I were invisible again. It was a stinging moment, but I survived it, fighting my life step by step, winning the love of millions of people and making millions of dollars in wealth through creative content. Last month, I posted my new Tesla A fully equipped $120,000 car on Facebook. For the next few days, my phone was unusually quiet. But suddenly one day, my mother called with a sharp tone. "Where did you get the money? Have a family meeting tomorrow." My stomach churned. They never cared about my wedding, but a Tesla caught their attention. I know only too well what they want. It's money, not me. But I had a plan they definitely didn't expect. Stay tuned and see how I counter them with their greed. Has your family ever ignored your important moments? Share your stories in the comments section, and I'll read them all. Let's talk about this topic together. I grew up in a quiet neighborhood in Madison, Wisconsin, in a 2-story brick house, the kind you can find in any middle-class suburb, with a clean lawn and a basketball hoop in the driveway. His father, Philip Murray, an insurance broker, was busy selling policies during the day and watching football games at night. Her mother, Joan Murray, is an administrative assistant at a local law firm. She is always busy with household chores, taking care of bills and coordinating various schedules. Then there is my brother Brent, the golden boy of the family, who never goes wrong. In our family, the concept of patriarchal preference is as ubiquitous as the air. My parents always say that boys should be cultivated more and the family should be supported in the future. They have poured all resources and patience into Brent, but they regard me as a dispensable accessory. Now he has become a lawyer and the pride of the whole family. Even when he was a child, he had already figured out his parents' preferences and developed an arrogant and bullying temperament. He always thinks that I am inferior to him and sneers at me if I don't like it. However, as the little sister in the family, I can only try my best to attract the attention of my parents, but I like shouting at a void. What I get is always, "Stop it, your brother needs to learn, and give way to your brother." At the age of 8, I can already clearly feel this piercing preference. When Brent's junior high school football team won the championship, his parents wrapped up the backyard and threw a barbecue party for 50 people, with ribbons, custom cakes, and commemorative t-shirts with his name on them. Neighbors patted Brent on the back to congratulate him, and his father said with a red face, "This is my good son, and he will definitely make great achievements in the future." I stood at the picnic table, holding the new skirt my mother had reluctantly bought me the day before, my fingers almost pinched into the fabric, silently hoping that someone would look at me more. But Brent caught a glimpse of me, but deliberately said loudly, "Don't embarrass our family even if you wear a cheap stall." My parents were standing by, but they just didn't hear me. Instead, they urged me, "Get your brother a drink quickly, don't stand here and get in the way." At that moment, the joy brought by the new dress was all extinguished by cold neglect and ridicule. A year later, I got the lead role in the school's spring drama. I rehearsed for weeks, dreaming of my parents in the audience. On the opening night, I peered through the curtain, only to find that their seats were empty. Just because Brent had a math test the next day, Mom said they needed to stay and help him study. I still insisted on finishing the whole performance. The stage lights were dazzling, but my heart was empty. Brent's high school graduation was a big celebration. The parents not only rented the high-end banquet hall, but also invited professional photographers and MC, and invited people from half the town. My father stood on the stage and gave a speech, tearfully telling Brent's inspirational story, proud of his law school scholarship, as if it were the glory of the whole family. At that time, I was only 14 years old. I sat quietly in the corner. The dessert in front of me did not move. I tightly held the gold medal of the statewide composition competition that I had just won in the morning. That was the work I had written for countless nights, and it was the only pride I could hold. I plucked up the courage to show my mother the medal, hoping she would nail it to the refrigerator like Brent's trophy. But she just glanced lightly and stuffed it into my pocket. Don't bother me with this, I'm busy. Your brother's celebration is the most important. You're not worth mentioning. Brent came over, grabbed the medal, and looked at it. He threw it on the table and sneered. I can only get this kind of prize without gold content. It's far from me. The medal was finally picked up by me and placed on the bottom of the dresser, gradually gathering dust. And Brent's various trophies and certificates were carefully filled with the mantelpiece in the living room by his parents, and they had to be wiped every day, like treasures. My paintings, transcripts, and even awards for poetry competitions never made it out of my bedroom, and my parents didn't even bother to look at them. One Christmas, his parents asked Brent what gift he wanted 2 months in advance. Finally, they bought him a brand new red mountain bike with a huge bow on the handlebars. They also took him to the suburbs for a test run and played for a whole day. However, I only received a sweater in 2 sizes from the discount area. Why are you a girl dressed so well? As she unpacked the package, her mother said that her attention had already been attracted by Brent's cheers. This sweater is durable. You will grow fat, and you can always wear it. Brent dangled in front of me on his new bike and hit me on purpose. I almost fell down, but he laughed. I can't even ride a bike, it's useless. The parents looked at it and just smiled and said, Your brother is playing with you. Don't be serious. Another time, the school to select members of the debate team I would like to participate need to pay $50 training fees. I saved up half a month's pocket money and was $20 short, so I had to ask my father for help. But my father refused without looking up. What debate girls learn is a waste of money. A few days later, I saw him buy Brent a $1,000 designer suit because Brent said, dress formally for mock court. I asked my mother unconvinced, but she reprimanded me. Your brother is going to be a barrister in the future. What is this money? Don't compare yourself to your brother. You are different from him. When I asked Dad why he never went to my debate practice, he frowned and said vaguely, We're busy, Dawn. Brent has to prepare for college application. His business is much more important than yours. I swallowed what I had said and slipped back to the room silently. I had only one thought in my heart. I must make some appearance and let them see that girls can make a difference. What saddens me most is my 16th birthday. I beat about the bush several weeks in advance, showing my mother a small cake in a magazine and telling my father that my classmates had gifts for their birthdays, hoping to get a little, even trivial, expression to prove that they still had me in their hearts. That morning, I got up early, put on my favorite jeans, cleaned up the room, and sat quietly at the kitchen table. But my mother was busy sending Brent to the law school interview early in the morning. Before leaving, she only left me a sentence of, cook some noodles for yourself. My father kept staring at the mobile phone to deal with the customer's affairs, not even saying, happy birthday. It was only by dinner time that I fully realized that no one remembered my birthday at all. Brent came home very late, smelling of alcohol, and was pulled to the table by his mother as soon as he entered, surrounding him to ask about the interview. He talks endlessly about how good he is, how much the interviewers approve of him, and the family talks and laughs around the pizza. I went back to my room silently and made a bowl of instant noodles. I couldn't help crying after eating one bite. Brent suddenly broke into my room and saw me crying. Not only did he not feel sentimental, but he mocked. No one remembers your birthday? Who let you so useless? Don't let parents worry. People like me deserve to be valued. After that, he deliberately knocked my instant noodle bowl to the ground, spilled the soup all over the floor, and then walked away. I crouched on the ground alone to tidy up. The silence around me was more suffocating than any sound. At that moment, I swore in my heart, I must leave this home, I must be a person, and I will never suffer this kind of injustice again. Not only these important moments, but also small things gradually accumulate into mountains. Mom always asks Brent how his day was first, and Dad always takes time to watch Brent's games, but never asks about my school project. In the eyes of the neighbors, Brent is the pride of the whole family, and I, just another child. Once, a neighbor asked my mother about my situation. She just said casually, Oh, Dawn is fine. She is very quiet and doesn't go out much. This sentence hurts more than any one absence. Brent himself is not mean. When I got all the best, he would smile at me or say, "Well done," perfunctorily. But that feeling is more like pity. He was so caught up in the attention of the crowd that he didn't even notice that I was fading out of their sight. Later, his wife, Lori Gibson, married into the family and perfectly integrated into the Brent-centered family, constantly praising Brent and hosting a dinner to celebrate his promotion. While I was in college, their twins Ella and Mason were born, and since then all the family conversations have revolved around these two children. I seemed to exist only when it was useful, such as helping Brent and Lori with the kids so they could go to the festivities. I tried to make excuses for their behavior. Maybe the parents felt that Brent needed them more. After all, he was ambitious and self-respecting. Maybe they thought I was doing well because I never complained. But I'm not good at all. Every time I was ignored, every absent-minded nod, it was killing me a little bit. I began to write diaries late at night, pouring out my inner pain, writing down all kinds of experiences of drama performances, composition competitions, and that forgotten birthday. Although this can relieve the pain a little, the scar on the bottom of my heart never really heals. After the age of 16, I completely gave up the expectation of parental approval, but put all the energy on myself. The motivation that supports me to go on is not only to prove my unwillingness, but also to fight back against Brent's sentence, "You will never catch up with me," and the desire for a warm family. I sketched the video idea on my notebook and watched the creators on YouTube accumulate fans from scratch, and my heart lit up. I told myself that only by becoming strong enough can I get rid of this home full of prejudice and indifference and have a real life of my own. For the first time, I realized that I could shine even without the approval of my family. Although I didn't know exactly what to do at the time, I clung to the flame and determined to prove that I was not just the child they ignored and ridiculed by my brother. In retrospect, those years have shaped me today. The pain of being ignored, the grievance of being despised, and the arrogance and humiliation of my brother have all become the fuel for my progress, pushing me on my own path. At that time, although I could not see the future, I knew that this fire would eventually take me out of Madison and out of this family that had never really seen me. I moved forward step by step, determined to build a life that will never be ignored or wronged again. In the shadow of neglect, I found the flame of hope in the most unexpected place art class. I had always been a kid who loved to doodle on notebooks, but that year, the school offered a multimedia arts elective. I signed up on a whim, not expecting much, just to get rid of the pressure of mathematics and history. In the first class, art teacher Ms. Joan Ellis stood in front of the classroom, her eyes full of vitality. "Art is more than just brushes and canvases," she said, holding up a bulky camera. "Art is storytelling, and today you are the storytellers." The flame in my heart was suddenly ignited, just like someone pressed a switch in my heart. Ms. Ellis introduced us to short videos less than 3 minutes in length, designed to capture a feeling or a thought. She showed us some examples: a montage of a child skateboarding on the streets of Madison, a stop-motion animation of a paper heart unfolding. I was thoroughly fascinated. This is the first time I have found a way to express myself without the approval of others. I borrowed my old school camera and started taking pictures of all sorts of bits and pieces: leaves falling in the park, my sneakers on the sidewalk, even the way my dog ate toys. I will stay up late editing videos with free software and groping while watching tutorials. Although the work is very rough, it is something that really belongs to me. Ms. Ellis noticed my efforts. One day after class, she pulled me aside and pointed to a blurry video I had made of rain hitting the window and said, "Dawn, you're very talented. There is a local youth video competition, you should go to it." I hesitated. Over the years, my efforts have been ignored by my family, and I have never shown my work to anyone. But her trust made me think that maybe I could really try. She helped me polish a 1-minute video called Tiny Beauty, which captured Madison's quiet moments: flashing streetlights, children laughing at bus stops, stray cats walking through alleys. I put all my heart into this video. The competition is held in the community center, which has a small stage and rows of folding chairs. 1 week before the competition, I have been adjusting the transition effect and striving for perfection in every picture. At dinner, I told my mother about it with uneasy hope and pushed the flyer across the table. Sounds interesting, Dawn. She glanced at the leaflet and said, but there's a moot court in Brent this weekend, and we're just too busy. My heart sank, but I still forced my composure. Then I asked my father again, thinking he might go. I have work to do. He looked at the newspaper without looking up. Brent just shrugged and continued to play with his phone. I still went, a person, the in the mind nervous panic. On the night of the game, I sat in the last row, clutching the program tightly. Other children's videos were played one after another, some funny, some artistic, all excellent. I held my breath when Tiny Good started playing. The room quieted down, and my images filled the screen. Close-ups of dewdrops on blades of grass, slow motion of frozen lakes, coupled with music I found online. At the end of the video, the audience burst into applause. I felt full of energy, like I was finally saying something worth listening. Then came the announcement of the winners. First prize, Dawn Murray, exclaimed the judges. I froze, then stumbled onto the stage and took the little trophy. Strangers congratulated me, but I kept looking for Mom and Dad in the crowd. Their seats are still empty. That night, I walked home with the trophy in my hand, the pale streetlights illuminating the streets. I won, but the joy soon dissipated. My family didn't even ask about the game. At breakfast the next day, my mother was busy praising Brent's performance in the simulation court. My father had been calling to deal with Brent's further studies. When Brent saw the trophy in my hand, he just skimmed his lips and said coldly, "Isn't it just a small competition? What's so proud of it? Don't delay my review." The tone was full of disdain. I really wanted to yell and show them what I had done, but I finally held back. I know that it is useless to argue. Only by showing more dazzling results can they shut up. I went back to my room, turned on my laptop, and continued editing the video. Since they can't see it, I want more people to see it. Since they don't approve it, I want to be recognized by the whole world. This obsession became the biggest motivation for me to stay up late to create and grind my teeth. That's when I started my own YouTube channel called Dawn's Shots. The channel is simple, just a place to share videos. I first uploaded Tiny Beauty. I thought I could watch it 10 times at most, but by the weekend, it had been played 100 times. The comments gradually increased. Some people said that they liked the atmosphere of the video, and some people said that I captured the little luck in life. One comment read, "This feels like home." I read this comment over and over again, and I felt an emotion I had never felt before: pride. In the eyes of these strangers, I am no longer invisible. I continued to create and shoot more. Children playing in parks, street fairs, and even time-lapse photography of the clouds over the Madison Capitol. Every video is a proof that I can be important too. Ms. Ellis has always encouraged me. She will communicate with me after class and recommend new skills and software to me. "You're telling a story that no one else can tell," she said as she handed me a video clip tutorial. I read the book hungrily and learned to edit, transition, and mix. I would spend hours in the school's computer lab, wearing headphones and isolating everything from the outside world. My channel slowly grew from 200 subscribers to 500. Although there's no fire, but that is a little bit of my hard work out. Every compliment, every comment, is like someone nodding at me and telling me, "I see you." I didn't tell my family about the existence of this channel. Once, I tried to show my mother a video that had been played 1,000 times. "Very interesting," she said, and turned to answer Brent's phone. "It hurts, but I'm tired of begging for their attention. I found something better, a way to create, connect, and build my own business that no one can take away." That game, that trophy, those early subscribers, all proved that I was more than just the forgotten child of my family. Although I don't know what will happen in the future, I know that I will never stop. When I entered college, I had big dreams. On a partial scholarship, I entered a communications major at a top university in Madison, Wisconsin. Scholarships are not enough. Pays the full cost, so I'm making up the difference with student loans and a part-time job at a campus coffee shop. I was busy rushing lattes in the morning, going to class in the evening, and editing videos on my old laptop late at night. The parents offered no help, and all their attention was on Brent's law school studies. But I don't need their help. I'm chasing my own future. My freshman year was very busy. I had to balance work, school, and my YouTube channel Dawn Shots. I uploaded some montages about dormitory life and sketches about exam stress, which attracted thousands of views. Not much, but enough to keep me going. In my sophomore year, I took a digital media class with Professor Alan Burke. He was stern, always pacing up and down the lecture hall, encouraging us to think outside the box. One day, he played a video of me, a 2-minute short film of late-night study, accompanied by low-fidelity music. This video has a soul. He leaned against the podium and said, "Dawn, you're not just creating, you're expressing." When I walked out of the classroom, I felt like I could do anything. Professor Burke became my mentor. In my junior year, he invited me to join a national digital content project day competition sponsored by major media companies, with teams from universities across the country planning short video campaigns for a nonprofit organization. I led a team of 4 and came up with a series of 1-minute video scenarios on mental health awareness. We spent months crafting storyboards, filming student interviews, and adding subtle animations. I would stay up until sunrise, polishing every clip over and over, staring at the screen. When I submitted my work, I was full of doubts about every choice I made. Then the mail came and we won first prize. The prize is a $10,000 prize and the opportunity to showcase your work on the nonprofit's platform. At the award ceremony in Chicago, I held a glass trophy in my hand, and my name was printed on the program list. I called my mom, hoping she would care. "Well done, Dawn." Her tone was perfunctory. "Your brother is working on a big case." I hung up the phone and held the trophy tighter. This victory gave me more motivation. After graduation, I moved into a small apartment in Madison and devoted myself to my career. I freelanced for local businesses, advertising for coffee shops, promotional films for shops, while continuing to run Shots of Dawn. My channel subscriptions have reached to 50,000, and I can finally start to cash in. I uploaded a video log about the creation process and a tutorial on editing skills, including a video that analyzed the production method of explosive videos, and the number of broadcasts soared to 100,000 times. Comments kept pouring in. "Dawn, you inspired me to want to start writing too." I would read these comments late at night with a sense of mission in my heart. The words of strangers are more powerful than the silence of their families. Later, I had an idea to start a company focused on creating short video content for brands to catch the rising tide of YouTube and TikTok. I named the company Spark Atmosphere Studio. The process of starting a business is extremely difficult. Countless proposals, countless sleepless nights, and bank accounts almost bottomed out. I work in a co-working space and live off ramen noodles and coffee. At a tech conference in Milwaukee, I pitched my idea to investor Sylvia Grant. She was shrewd, looking through my portfolio while examining me critically. "Your work is very infectious," she said, leaning forward. "Let's work together." Sylvia invested $200,000, enough for me to hire a small team and rent an office. I was shocked that someone was willing to believe me when my own family didn't believe me. Spark's Atmosphere Studio grew rapidly. We first created campaigns for local startups and later won bigger customers, restaurants, tech companies, and even a national retailer. The video that my team and I have made has a distinctive style: funny, sincere, well-made, and perfect for social media. We have accumulated 1 million fans on various platforms, and our revenue has exceeded 7 figures. When I walked into my office in downtown Madison, the glass walls full of energy, I felt like I had built a truly worthwhile career. Customers love our work, and one customer said that our campaign doubled their online sales. This influence keeps me up at night and can't wait to plan the next big project. When a major streaming platform approached us with an offer, I knew it was time to take a new step. They hoped to use the professional ability of Spark Atmosphere Studio to improve the quality of their short video content. After months of negotiations, I signed the deal $18 million. I paid off my student loans first, and the feeling of relief swept over me like a wave. I am free, without debt, without bondage. I built a business empire from scratch and proved that I can still succeed without the approval of my family. For years, they never contacted me, ignored my graduation, my videos, all my accomplishments. But I didn't stop there. I was ready to build a better life beyond their shadows. When I met Kyle Sanders, I found a harbor to fall back on. We met in a coffee shop while I was cutting videos between meetings at the Spark Atmosphere studio. He ordered black coffee at the counter, the sleeves of his flannel shirt rolled up, and a calm confidence in his smile. We talked about work, life, and the difficult winter in Madison. He is a mechanical engineer, calm but very warm personality. By the end of that chat, I couldn't wait to see him again. We started dating, sneaking out time between my late-night video editing and his long work hours. When I was in time for the deadline, he would bring me takeout. I would take him to the art fair and watch him pretend to understand my complaints about the video, and I couldn't help laughing. It was the first time I really felt seen. A year later, Kyle proposed to me. Everything is very simple, just the two of us on the park bench, next to the lake sparkling. He took out his ring, his hand steady, and said, "Dawn, you are my home. Marry me." I said yes, my heart racing, looking forward to our future. Preparations for the wedding were hectic. I chose a small garden site with string lights, perfect for a summer evening. I picked out a soft ivory wedding dress and felt like I was living in a dream. I sent invitations to my family, father, mother, brother, hoping they would come. I called my mom, and it went to voicemail. "I'm getting married," I said. "Will you come?" She paused, then said, "We'll try, Dawn. But Brent has a big case to deal." My heart pulled up, but I continued to prepare, telling myself that it doesn't matter whether they come or not. On the day of the wedding, I stood in front of the mirror finishing the veil, my heart filled with tension. Kyle took my hand and said softly, "You're beautiful." I walked up to him on the red carpet, his eyes locked on me. At that moment, everything was perfect. But when I scanned the crowd, I found my family's seats empty. No dad, no mom, no Brent. I held out hope until the last moment that they would come. But they didn't. No phone, no text, no greeting cards. The ceremony went on as usual. We made vows, shed tears, and won applause, but their absence was like a knife, which deeply hurt me. I leaned over Kyle and smiled, but my heart was already broken. They missed the day I needed them the most. Kyle's family filled the gap. His parents, enthusiastic and cheerful, pulled me into their arms and affectionately called me our Dawn. His sister prepared the dance repertoire so that everyone could dance to their heart's content. After the ceremony, they held a reception in their backyard, with picnic tables, homemade pies, and laughter everywhere. Kyle's father toasted to Dawn and Kyle and wished them a happy family. My throat choked, and there was both gratitude and pain in my heart. Their warmth, but also highlights the indifference of my family. I spent so many years pursuing my parents' approval, but here I found a family that fully accepted me. Still, as I danced with Kyle's cousins, the family's absence was like an unhealed scar. After the wedding, Kyle and I built our lives together. We rented a small house in Madison and had a porch where we could have coffee on the weekends. He would draw designs while he was working, I would edit the Spark Atmosphere Studio video, and we would exchange ideas with each other. When Spark Atmosphere Studio encountered difficulties, customers delayed payments, team members leaving, Kyle was always my back. "You can do it," he would say, and hold me tight. I also supported him, patiently listening to him when he was anxious about project deadlines. We would argue about little things, who does the dishes, who walks the dog, but we were a team, something I never felt growing up. Kyle's family became my family. His parents invite me every Sunday. The children went to dinner and made roast meat and potatoes. His sister will call to care about me and ask about my latest project progress. When Sparks Atmosphere Studios won big customers, they threw a small party and hung a funny banner. Their support is what I always wanted when I was a child. But every time I sit at their table, I still have a dull pain in my heart. My family didn't just miss my wedding, they even pretended it never happened. I sent them wedding photos, hoping to get their attention, but nothing went wrong. Once, I called my mother and asked her if she had seen the photo album. "It's beautiful," she said, and then started talking about Brent's children. Since then, I have not actively contacted them. After selling Spark Atmosphere Studio for 18 million, Epatafal Maloans, Anthesen Zofferly Fashard to Express, then Nair awarded Mijolf with a stylish electric Tesla, worth 18 million, Epatafal Maloans, Anthesen Zofferly Fashard to Express, then Nair awarded Mijolf with a stylish electric Tesla, worth 120,000, parked proudly in our driveway. I posted the photo on Facebook. I didn't expect any response. I just wanted to share the joy. Over the years, my family never contacted me, ignoring my wedding and my achievements, but this photo of Tesla caught their attention and laid the groundwork for everything else. My time with Kyle made me understand that family is not just blood, but people who will show up for you and really see you. Kyle cheered my success and encouraged me when I was lost. His parents gave me a warmth I had never felt before. But even so, the silence of my family still makes me heartache. Each of these milestones are house. 1 million fans would have been a fly in the ointment without their blessing. I do wake up in the middle of the night wondering why I wasn't always good enough. You're good enough for me, Kyle would say. Although this sentence can comfort me, but the pain still exists, remind me of all I have overcome. A week after the Tesla photo, my mother called and asked for a family meeting. Her tone was stiff and formal, like she was making a dentist appointment. "Dawn, we need to talk," she said. "Can you come to Madison?" I froze, the mobile phone in the hand feeling heavy. Years of silence, but now because of a car contact me. Kyle sat beside me, his hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to go," he said. "But I have to go. I need to face them and say what I've been holding back for many years." It was a long drive to Madison's parents' house. I held the steering wheel tightly, my knuckles white, and rehearsed what I was going to say in my heart. Kyle offered to go with me, but I told him it was something I had to face on my own. I stopped in front of the familiar brick house, where I grew up, but now I feel very strange. My father opened the door, saw a trace of greed in his eyes when he saw me, and then pretended to be plain. "Nice to meet you," he said, as if I had just been here last week, not mentioning all these years of indifference at all. My mother was serving coffee in the living room. When she saw me, she came quickly and pulled my hand hypocritically, but her eyes were staring at the watch on my hand. "Dawn, it's getting more and more beautiful. This car is really magnificent." Brent sat on the sofa brushing his cell phone and saw me come in without even lifting his eyelids. He looked arrogant, as if I were still the little sister he could taunt at will. No one hugged me. The air was suffocating, and everyone's eyes were only calculating, without a trace of affection. We sat around the table. This is the table, has witnessed me begging for their attention again and again, witnessed Brent's bullying of me, witnessed the partiality of my parents. My mother spoke first, deliberately showing enthusiasm, but she could not hide her utilitarianism. "Dawn, we saw your car. You are really capable. You are so rich now. You can't forget your family." I nodded and looked at her coldly, waiting for her to say what she really wanted. Brent finally put down his cell phone and leaned forward with a natural arrogance. "Ella and Mason are going to college. The tuition is too expensive and my mortgage is not paid. You have the ability now and must help me." He used must, not request, as if I owed him. Dad also echoed the way, with a stern tone and moral kidnapping. "Family members should help each other. Dawn, this is the rule. As a girl, it is useless to earn so much money. It is right to help your brother tide over the difficulties. If we hadn't provided you with study, would you have today?" I stared at them, my heart racing, and years of grievance and anger suddenly surged up. "Reading for me?" I sneer, voices full of sarcasm. "You forget? My college tuition is scholarships and student loans, and my living expenses are earned by working in a coffee shop. Brent's tuition and living expenses for law school are all covered by you. You also bought him a brand-name suit and asked for private education. What about me? I want $50 for the debate team training, and you can't bear to give it." Mom looked away and stared at the table and said, "We were very busy at the time, Dawn. Brent is a boy, and his business is of course important to support this family in the future." "Important enough to ignore all of me?" I slapped the table suddenly, and the coffee cup shook. On my 16th birthday, you were so busy sending Brent for an interview that you didn't even say a happy birthday. Brent knocked my instant noodles down on the ground. You said he was joking. I won the gold medal in the statewide composition competition. He threw my medal on the ground. You said I shouldn't compare with him. I got married. You were absent all the time, not even a phone call. Now that you see me driving a Tesla, you remember that I am family? What you care about is never me, but my money. Brent was turned red and white by what I said, and slapped the table angrily. Don't importune here. My parents raised you so much. Why did you do me a favor? Ungrateful things. He stood up and stared at me condescending, the look of bullying, exactly the same as when he was a child. If it weren't for me, my parents could be so hard. Can you grow up safely? Now let you take some money out to help me. You will push 3 to 4 is really a Baiwenhang. Dad also roared. You must help your brother, or you will be unfilial. How can we raise such a selfish daughter like you? Selfish. I also stood up, the chair on the floor in a harsh voice. I spent a lifetime trying to satisfy you. Want to get your little bit of approval. I selfish? You have never regarded me as a family member, but now you are talking to me about filial piety and gratitude? Brent, don't you feel ashamed when you said that I would never catch up with you and that I was useless, but now you have to rely on me, a useless person, to save you? My mother's face sank and her tone was threatening. Dawn, don't be ungrateful. We're your parents. How dare you not listen to us? In the future, when we are old, will we not have to rely on your brother to provide for our old age? If you don't help him, you won't help us. Originally want was useless. I snapped. You choose him every time and give up on me. If you are old and want to rely on him for your old age, then go to him and leave me alone. I tell you, I don't owe you, let alone Brent. The room was silent, their faces mixed with shock, anger, and a hint of panic. Brent trembled with anger and pointed at me. You will regret it. Without us, you are nothing. I stood up, my chair making a harsh sound on the floor. Selfish. I said, I've spent my whole life trying to satisfy you, and I've had enough. After my mother called, I made a plan. I didn't even tell Kyle, just to catch them off guard. Do you think I will spend money on my own? I said, taking out a folder from my bag. I will donate most of my money. I pushed the document across the table. A press release that had been sent out to the local media ID donated $15 million to a children's education charity that offered scholarships to children who never had the chance. That's what my family means, I said, to help those who really need help, not those who think of me when they see money. Mom picked up the papers, her hands shaking. 15 million? She whispered. Dad's face turned red. You are squandering money. Brent slapped the table. This money could have given Ella and Mason a lifetime of food and clothing. I looked him straight in the eye and did not flinch. That is your responsibility, not mine. I said, I'm doing this for those unloved children. You had a chance to be my family, but you gave up. I turned to leave, my heart beating fast, but I felt that the burden of years had finally been unloaded. When I got to the door, my mother called out to me, Dawn, wait. Her voice was full of crying. I stopped at the door and didn't look back.
We're sorry, she said.
We didn't know we'd hurt you so much. I really want to believe her, but now the apology is too pale, has long been defiled by their purpose of asking for money. You know, I whispered, you just don't care. I walked out of the house, and the door closed behind me. The pain of being ignored didn't go away, but I felt free and finally got my voice back. As I drove home, I thought of Kyle, of his parents, of the life we'd built together. Their Mimi family are the ones who will show up for me. Giving to charity is not just a way to express myself, but also a way for me to give back to society and turn pain into motivation. News of the donation spread quickly, and my phone was swiped by messages from strangers who thanked me and called me a role model. I no longer need the approval of my family. Everything I have built has already surpassed their denial. I will not look back. After the family meeting, I got the freedom I never had before. I drove home to Madison, and the weight of years was finally lifted from my shoulders. I said everything I wanted to say, bared the pain of being ignored by them, and there was no turning back. I hacked my parents' and brothers' phones, deleted their emails, and unfollowed them online. It is not easy to cut off the connection with your family. It is like cutting a piece of meat from yourself, but it is necessary. I'm fed up with pursuing their approval, and just want to focus on the life I built with Kyle and the meaning I found through giving. The chain reaction soon followed. I learned from mutual friends that my brother Brent's house had been repossessed by the bank and that he was unable to pay his mortgage, as he had said at the family meeting. My niece Ella and nephew Mason had to move into a smaller apartment with him. Philip and Joan had postponed their retirement plans, expecting financial help, maybe me, maybe Brent, who they thought would make it, but now they have to keep working, even part-time, to make ends meet. The thought of Ella and Mason being drawn into this mess made me feel a little sad. But over the years, I have been expressing love to them, giving them gifts, and actively contacting them, but they have ignored me like their parents. I can't pay for their choices. Kyle has always been my backstop. We would sit on the porch and drink coffee and talk about what family really meant. You did what you had to do, he would say, holding my hand. You're not responsible for their lives.
He's right.
I've spent my whole life trying to find my place in the family, but they have already told me by their actions that I am not important in their hearts. Cut off the connection not only because of anger, but also to protect their own peace. With Kyle, I found a partner who really saw my worth. His parents would call me every week, care about my life, send me recipes or funny emojis. Their warmth fills the gap left by their families, proving that love has nothing to do with blood. I put my heart and soul into my work, but in a different way than before. After selling the Sparks Atmosphere studio, I didn't start a new company, but focused on the children's education charity I donated. I started volunteering, tutoring children who were a lot like me as a child, hungry for opportunity and ignored by those closest to me. There was a girl named Mia who wanted to be a filmmaker, and I taught her how to edit every weekend, and I was genuinely happy for her, watching the twinkle in her eyes the first time she finished the video. Dawn, you are too good. Once she hugged me and said, this sentence touched me more than any award I have won. It's not just recognition, it's proof that I'm making an impact. The community became my dependency. I speak at local schools and share my self-made experiences. After the speech, many parents and children will come to talk to me and say that my story inspired them to pursue their dreams. A teacher emailed me and said, you have given my students hope. I would read these emails late at night and feel like I was living my life to the fullest, something I never felt as a child. My job is no longer about traffic or money, but about making a real impact. I work with charities to run workshops to teach children to tell their stories through video. Every smile, every thank you is a little bit to repair the family hurt me. Looking back now, I finally understand a truth. The harm of the original family may be unavoidable, but we have the right to choose not to let it define our life. My value lies not in the recognition of my family, not in gender, but in my own choice, in the efforts I have made for my dream, and in everyone I have helped. When I was a child, I felt invisible, always living in Brent's aura, living in the prejudice of my parents. But I'm not that girl anymore. I built my career, my marriage, and my life goals without them. To cut off the connection with them not only closes a door full of indifference and prejudice, but also opens the door of life for those who really cherish me and support me. I don't need their apology or their pride, because I have already found my own value and light on the road of self-redemption. Sometimes I drive through Madison and pass places that had a connection to the past. The park where I shot my first video, the coffee shop where I met Kyle. These memories are no longer painful to me. They are just chapters in my own written life story. Kyle and I began to plan a new adventure, travel, and maybe start a little family of our own. His parents often joked about wanting grandchildren and would send us lists of baby names. We will smile and look forward to the future together, full of hope in our hearts, and will never be troubled by the pain of the past. I still occasionally think of my family and wonder if they understand what they have lost. But I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. I've spent too much time waiting for them to change, and now I'm going to live for myself, for Kyle, and for kids like Mia who need someone to believe in them. My story is no longer about their denial, but about my courage, my choices, and my beginnings. Thank you to everyone who has followed my journey. This journey is full of hardships and real emotions, and it's not easy to share. If this story resonates with you, I want to tell you, no matter what kind of prejudice and neglect you have experienced, don't doubt your own worth. Those who do not defeat you will eventually make you stronger. Family of origin may have given us pain, but we can turn the pain into the power of growth and turn the desire for warmth into a light that illuminates ourselves and others. Real family members are never blood ties, but those who stand up when you need them and applaud you when you succeed. Real success is not how much wealth you have, but how you want to live and have the ability to warm more people. What's your story? How do you find your self-worth in a difficult situation? If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, remember to click the subscribe button. Your support means so much to me, and I can't wait to continue sharing more stories of growth, redemption, and love with you. Thank you for your company. Instead, focus on the children's education charity I donated. I started volunteering, tutoring children who were a lot like me as a child hungry for opportunity and ignored by those closest to me. There was a girl named Mia who wanted to be a filmmaker, and I taught her how to edit every weekend, and I was genuinely happy for her watching the twinkle in her eyes the first time she finished the video. "Dawn, you are too good." Once she hugged me and said, "This sentence touched me more than any award I have won. It's not just recognition, it's proof that I'm making an impact." The community became my dependency. I speak at local schools and share my self-made experiences. After the speech, many parents and children will come to talk to me and say that my story inspired them to pursue their dreams. A teacher emailed me and said, "You have given my students hope." I would read these emails late at night and feel like I was living my life to the fullest, something I never felt as a child. My job is no longer about traffic or money, but about making a real impact. I work with charities to run workshops to teach children to tell their stories through video. Every smile, every word of thanks is a little bit to repair the family hurt me. Looking back now, I finally understand a truth. The harm of the original family may be unavoidable, but we have the right to choose not to let it define our life. My value lies not in the recognition of my family, not in gender, but in my own choice, in the efforts I have made for my dream, and in everyone I have helped. When I was a child, I felt invisible, always living in Brent's aura, living in the prejudice of my parents. But I'm not that girl anymore. I built my career, my marriage, and my life goals without them. To cut off the connection with them not only closes a door full of indifference and prejudice, but also opens the door of life for those who really cherish me and support me. I don't need their apology or their pride, because I have already found my own value and light on the road of self-redemption. Sometimes I drive through Madison and pass places that had a connection to the past. The park where I shot my first video, the coffee shop where I met Kyle. These memories are no longer painful to me. They are just chapters in my own written life story. Kyle and I began to plan a new adventure, travel, and maybe start a little family of our own. His parents often joked about wanting grandchildren and would send us lists of baby names. We will smile and look forward to the future together, full of hope in our hearts, and will never be troubled by the pain of the past. I still occasionally think of my family and wonder if they understand what they have lost. But I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. I've spent too much time waiting for them to change, and now I'm going to live for myself, for Kyle, and for kids like Mia who need someone to believe in them. My story is no longer about their denial, but about my courage, my choices, and my beginnings. Thank you to everyone who has followed my journey. This journey is full of hardships and real emotions, and it's not easy to share. If this story resonates with you, I want to tell you, no matter what kind of prejudice and neglect you have experienced, don't doubt your own worth. Those who do not defeat you will eventually make you stronger. Family of origin may have given us pain, but we can turn the pain into the power of growth and turn the desire for warmth into a light that illuminates ourselves and others. Real family members are never blood ties, but those who stand up when you need them and applaud you when you succeed. Real success is not how much wealth you have, but how you want to live and have the ability to warm more people. What's your story? How do you find your self-worth in a difficult situation? If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, remember to click the subscribe button. Your support means so much to me, and I can't wait to continue sharing more stories of growth, redemption, and love with you. Thank you for your company. Instead, focus on the children's education charity I donated. I started volunteering, tutoring children who were a lot like me as a child hungry for opportunity and ignored by those closest to me. There was a girl named Mia who wanted to be a filmmaker, and I taught her how to edit every weekend, and I was genuinely happy for her watching the twinkle in her eyes the first time she finished the video. "Dawn, you are too good." Once she hugged me and said, "This sentence touched me more than any award I have won. It's not just recognition, it's proof that I'm making an impact." The community became my dependency. I speak at local schools and share my self-made experiences. After the speech, many parents and children will come to talk to me and say that my story inspired them to pursue their dreams. A teacher emailed me and said, "You have given my students hope." I would read these emails late at night and feel like I was living my life to the fullest, something I never felt as a child. My job is no longer about traffic or money, but about making a real impact. I work with charities to run workshops to teach children to tell their stories through video. Every smile, every word of thanks is a little bit to repair the family hurt me. Looking back now, I finally understand a truth. The harm of the original family may be unavoidable, but we have the right to choose not to let it define our life. My value lies not in the recognition of my family, not in gender, but in my own choice, in the efforts I have made for my dream, and in everyone I have helped. When I was a child, I felt invisible, always living in Brent's aura, living in the prejudice of my parents. But I'm not that girl anymore. I built my career, my marriage, and my life goals without them. To cut off the connection with them not only closes a door full of indifference and prejudice, but also opens the door of life for those who really cherish me and support me. I don't need their apology or their pride, because I have already found my own value and light on the road of self-redemption. Sometimes I drive through Madison and pass places that had a connection to the past. The park where I shot my first video, the coffee shop where I met Kyle. These memories are no longer painful to me. They are just chapters in my own written life story. Kyle and I began to plan a new adventure, travel, and maybe start a little family of our own. His parents often joked about wanting grandchildren and would send us lists of baby names. We will smile and look forward to the future together, full of hope in our hearts, and will never be troubled by the pain of the past. I still occasionally think of my family and wonder if they understand what they have lost. But I'm not going to dwell on it anymore. I've spent too much time waiting for them to change, and now I'm going to live for myself, for Kyle, and for kids like Mia who need someone to believe in them. My story is no longer about their denial, but about my courage, my choices, and my beginnings. Thank you to everyone who has followed my journey. This journey is full of hardships and real emotions, and it's not easy to share. If this story resonates with you, I want to tell you, no matter what kind of prejudice and neglect you have experienced, don't doubt your own worth. Those who do not defeat you will eventually make you stronger. Family of origin may have given us pain, but we can turn the pain into the power of growth and turn the desire for warmth into a light that illuminates ourselves and others. Real family members are never blood ties, but those who stand up when you need them and applaud you when you succeed. Real success is not how much wealth you have, but how you want to live and have the ability to warm more people. What's your story? How do you find your self-worth in a difficult situation? If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, remember to click the subscribe button. Your support means so much to me, and I can't wait to continue sharing more stories of growth, redemption, and love with you. Thank you for your company.